So, AEW Full Gear is tomorrow, and the big talking point, I would argue, is the announcement of the Casino Gauntlet Match to crown the first ever AEW National Champion. And there's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of talk about it, right? You know, does AEW need another belt? Who's going to be the first champion? What are they going to do with it? And well, I thought I would come on here and I thought I would just go ahead and just talk, just kind of give my thoughts on who I personally think should walk away with the National Championship at Full Gear and what they could potentially do with the championship. So I think we're going to talk about who I think, since Blood and Guts has now kind of become the, in my eyes, the odds-on favourite to walk out of Full Gear as the new national champion, and we're going to talk about Kyle O'Reilly. Now, do I think it's going to happen? There is a very, very high chance. I think so. I think O'Reilly is someone they have been wanting to push for a very, very long time within AEW. We've seen it, you know, he got to the, was it the final two of the world title thing? Back when Punk vacated the belt, I forget what it was entirely, but it was him and Moxley as like the final two, which Moxley ended up winning. And it seems as though ever since then they have been waiting for the opportune time to strap the rocket to O'Reilly, and I really do think that this might be the belt for him. The only thing that I think might potentially stop him from becoming champion is the conglomeration, Roderick Strong, Don Callis family stuff, and also his current feud with Moxley. I think all of those combined might mean that he either becomes like the all-conquering babyface that wins the gauntlet match, or he's going to get screwed over in some capacity. I'm not sure which one it's going to be, but again, we will see on that one. I would really like O'Reilly to win. I really do think that he deserves it. In my fixing Ring of Honor video, I said that he would probably be one of like my top guys for that. So like, you know, I'm a little biased. I definitely do think that O'Reilly definitely deserves a run at like the top and potentially as a champion and as a singles champion in Big 2025, because come on now, he absolutely does deserve it. Then we're going to talk about arguably one of the members of the Death Riders who I think should have been a singles champion so long ago. We're talking about Claudio Castagnoli. This is a guy who I think if you gave him the national championship, we're probably not seeing another champion for a good like 8-9 months, maybe even a year. This is a dude who, if you put the belt on him, he is going country to country, taking out some of the very best and putting the national championship on the map. We've seen what Claudio is doing recently within the Death Riders, right? He's the guy who, you know, Moxley stabs someone with a fork and everyone's completely fine with it, but Claudio stomps someone's neck with a chair wrapped around it and suddenly he's Satan incarnate, right? Like everyone has really like noticed that Claudio has fit into this monstrous heel role so well, and the idea of him being like this traveling champion, this like dominant force that goes from place to place, company to company, taking on some of their best and beating them senseless, I think would be really fun personally. I would love to say that it's a very high chance that Claudio walks out with the gold, but unfortunately I don't see that happening, purely because, well, he hasn't exactly been booked the best as a singles guy within AEW. You know, a lot of his singles matches in recent times have been losses, and that worries me a little bit, but maybe this is the turnaround that he needs for, you know, for his career and for the singles push that he genuinely does deserve. Then we're going to talk about one name that I think would be very, very funny if they won, and would actually genuinely be quite a cool first champion. It's all about whether or not they actually do it, and I'm going to talk about Ricochet. Now, since Ricochet showed up within AEW, it has been very, very obvious that at some point this man is going to become a champion, right? Maybe not necessarily AEW World Champion, but we have seen him in the mix for a lot of the mid-card belts, right? Like, he was in the Continental Classic, he fought for the International title, he's fought for like the trios belts, etc. But I genuinely think that if you weren't going to go for like the dominant traveling heel, the idea of Ricochet going from place to place and being like, I'm the best, I'm the national champion, I think would actually be really, really good. Do I see Ricochet winning? Maybe, right? Like, who knows? Maybe he ends up picking up the belt. Would be pretty interesting. I don't know. But speaking of dudes who I think it's inevitable that they're going to become a singles champion, and the gauntlet might be the time to do it, Speedball Mike Bailey. Now, I would have said that Jet Speed need to become tag team champions. However, I get the weird feeling, and I might do a short on Full Gear predictions and whatnot. The way that the tag title run and the tag titles are going to go is probably FTR, then to Cope and Cage. I've been saying it since, like, Forbidden Door, and I'm still unchanged on that, right? I really do think that that is the pipeline that we're in, which kind of leaves Jet Speed in a weird spot. So I'm thinking if you wanted to make sure that at least one of them was getting a push and a bit of a run, Speedball Mike Bailey as national champion, I think would be fantastic, right? Like, this man's known for going across companies. I mean, for God's sake, he wrestled, what, like 7 matches over a Mania weekend or something like that? I remember it was a ridiculous number. He is the kind of dude who I think as a national champion could genuinely just rack up defense after defense and genuinely put on some of the best matches. He works with Maple Leaf, which is great as well, right? That means you've probably got a company that you can actively have a lot of defenses on. You know, there's so much you can do with Speedball Mike Bailey as national champion. But then also, you've also got Kevin Knight in the same vein. Kevin is someone who has come in and has done really, really well, has impressed, has done really well as a part of Jet Speed, but hasn't necessarily had that quote-unquote standout singles run or that quote-unquote standout singles match that you would have expected by now with someone on the caliber of a Kevin Knight. And I think genuinely, if you wanted to do like complete shock value, having a guy like Kevin Knight win this gauntlet match and becoming the first national champion would be incredible. It really, really would be something really cool to see. Now, you can also say that in a gauntlet match like this, and with the sheer amount of people that are in this faction, you cannot count out any member of the Don Callis family. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to name one member in particular. And that, my friends, is Hechicero. I was going to say Josh, but I think Hechicero is genuinely getting more and more over as the days go on. And after his incredible series of matches with Bandito, if AEW aren't looking at him and going, we need to put a belt on this man, like, as soon as humanly possible, then I don't know what they're doing. I think Hechicero is someone who, if you gave him the national championship, well, he's immediately got a pipeline. He's defending that thing on CMLL pretty much as frequently as humanly possible, right? Like, he's probably also defending it on New Japan, he's defending it within AEW, he should be defending that on Dragon Gate. Yo, who said that? Who said that? Nah, genuinely, Hechicero would be such a sick pick for national champion. I think him or Josh, right? Like, one of those two dudes, I think would be sweet as national champion. And I think for my final one, I think I'm just gonna throw out the most wild card pick, but it wouldn't be an AEW video without me mentioning him. The Butcher. Just put the belt on the Butcher. Why not? Why not, right? The gauntlet match is probably a chance to make a name, make a star, and the Butcher is someone who I genuinely think could definitely do that. But those are all of my thoughts, right? Maybe I'm missing someone who you think's an absolute layup, which in that case, let me know in the comments below who you think is going to become the first ever AEW National Champion. Shouts to the members once again. Thank you all for your continued support. We got more wrestling think pieces right here for you, and YouTube really thinks you'll like this video, so potentially consider checking that out as well. See ya!